So, so everybody is born into this life with a purpose, and because you're born with a purpose, it only means you came into this life to live out that purpose, with the intention to live out the purpose. You wouldn't be trying to get into a life if you didn't have the with a purpose if you didn't have the intention to do so before. I think it's better I'm not look at myself while I do this. And so a lot of what I'm gonna say is gonna sound crazy, but we our souls knew that we were coming in. It's our soul's intention coming into this life with a purpose to live out a um, to live a certain way, to have certain further purposes with this major purpose, this main purpose. Our souls chose that for us. Now, how our soul gets to choose that for us, it's by the fact that we could choose means that our soul is a consciousness on its own, and it's coming from somewhere here. Now, some souls are younger souls, and these souls they came in. They stay closer to Earth or closer to three-dimensional planets or closer to this plane, or maybe in another parallel universe, if that's a thing, and in other star systems. What I believe is that different souls are coming into this life um, from other star systems to pretty much they're coming in from other star systems. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm just going to relax and let it be. They're coming in from other star systems that are 3D, like this one or close to this one. Maybe not as dense as this, but still like a third dimensional planet. Um, there's some souls that they graduate after incarnating over and over and over and over into different lifetimes and into different 3D life settings and 3D planets. And the only reason why people tend to graduate to a higher, an even higher plane is because they've incarnated so much that they learn so many lessons that their bodies become, their energy and their overall being becomes less dense, and with that comes a lot of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And when that starts to happen, your mind capacity, um, well, in a physical body, and even your soul, its DNA or the soul's matrix starts to upgrade. You know, because your mind and your body is really the same thing. And if your mind is expanding, and if your mind is really operating from a place of wisdom, then what's going to happen is your the energy in your mind is going to is alchemize. It's alchemy. It starts to structure itself differently, and that means your body, in a physical body, that happens also. Your DNA starts to structure itself differently, and when it's for the better, then your DNA starts to upgrade and take on like a higher dimensional um, aspects and traits, take on higher dimensional uh what's the word I'm looking for, quality about it. And that's me explaining it in a very simple term. But when that is happening, um while in a physical body, when you're upgrading in a physical body, your DNA starts to upgrade too. Or should I say your DNA is what upgrades, because your DNA is like the base structure of, or one of the base structures of what makes you up. All of a sudden I want to sleep. Reminds me of when I used to go to school in like small school, and then I want to sleep. I wish I had a more comfortable chair. Let me see if I can put it in a picture. Sorry. This this chair is very low. Let's see. This chair is very low. Okay. Thank God for life. Okay, so you guys are gonna hear a lot of background noise because um, where I am now is the whole place has to be opened up. I don't have any air conditioning. Maybe if I did have it, I still would have to like it would still be noisy. I don't know. I mean, right now I'm in Jamaica, and the houses here they're not as soundproof as when I was in the states. I mean, where I was living in the states wasn't super soundproof. It's not like rich people home that's built a certain way. In this moment, I feel I don't feel well in my body. I haven't felt well in my body for over a year now. Um, my mom just passed away like 2 days ago, and there's grief going on, and sometimes grief can bring on a kind of death feeling onto you. I'm feeling a death energy. I'm not saying I'm going to die. I'm just saying there's a kind of a in the universe right now. There's a sense of endedness going on. A energy of this apocalyptic feel in the atmosphere in the universe. It's very much Armageddonish. It's very apocalyptic. I mean, everything that's just there's a lot going on. These are unprecedented times. These are perilous times. These are it's a lot going on. But to continue where I left off, kind of ish. I still don't know that. I still don't know if what I'm doing now is if I'm going about it the right way. Stick a pin to go back. I'm assuming this lecture, if I could call it that, is going to be like the full 8 hours, which means I'm going to have yet another day of not totally doing. I make schedules and stuff, doing things on time. I suffer from a lot of performance anxiety whenever I start to do so, especially I'm doing something new, and especially if it's related to things like if it's related to things like um, for example, marketing. If I'm supposed to market my business, if I'm supposed to do some promotion, if I'm supposed to do something that I've never done, or even if I've done stuff like that before, if I have to make this official, like official, make official moves and official content and things, I found it quite intimidating, and I suffer with this performance anxiety. I tell myself, "Oh my God, this is not going to work out." These are the thoughts I get, and who do I think I am doing that stuff? This "who do I think I am" business came from my family, um, and right now the reason I'm in Jamaica, one of the main reasons is um, I'm here to try to bring out to integrate my higher self with my other parts. And because the main reason why that fragment happened, that trauma happened in childhood, was because somebody or something or somebody's made me feel very unwelcome in the family if I started to speak a certain way. Because as long as I can remember, I remember being a child and being way ahead of my years. The children around me in school and at church or whatever, but that's the thing. I would pull myself down to their level to somehow to fit in. And then this that's where this trauma came from in the family, in the same kind of thing, but with the family. And I used to look at these children like, oh my God, if I ever speak a certain way, I'm just gonna die. They're gonna murder me. Because as long as I can remember, I used to think thoughts like, oh my God, children are not thinking these things. The average child my age was not thinking. And even when I expressed certain things, people said, oh my God, you're so mature. And even those things that I was expressing were not the highest level things at that age that I could have expressed. And this is how I coped. I coped. I went through life coping um, with peers, with classmates, schoolmates, churchmates, family, neighbors, becoming this person that I wasn't, even though it became a part of who I am, which means it's who I was and who I am. And I think, I mean, whatever parts of you that exist, you have to really truly embrace it to be able to integrate it. Um, but something happened in my childhood made me that made me uh, pull away from my center self. That was embodying my soul self, my higher self. It's the part of me that streamed through knowledge. So something happened there, and now I'm in Jamaica, and I could clearly see what it was, because what I'm being faced with is just me bringing out the side of myself. My siblings, my parents aren't here because my mother just died, and there's a whole lot, a big story. I mean, a huge story behind it. It's unbelievably huge, and how I end up taking blame for her death, trying to secure my own sense of health and my own sense of freedom. Pretty much came back and bite me in the ass. And I felt I spoke with one of my brother's wife the other day. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and she made me feel a relief. She told me, don't feel guilty. You've been with your mother more than anybody else, taking care of her for years, and you did something you had to do. You know, don't blame yourself. Don't feel guilty. And she's right, because that's how it really should be. But the people I'm around, even though right now they're not blaming me per se, I know in the beginning they were. When she got really sick, they were. And in some way, they still see me as being like highly responsible for her death. And it kills me, because I have to be here. I digress again. I have to be here mourning, grieving the death of my mother, that because I suffered this deep enmeshment trauma with her, there's this there's this holding on to her more so than the average person would hold on to their mothers. And I suffered something in my childhood made me feel as though it's the same enmeshment trauma. When you have that, you have a desperate fear of losing that parent, and especially losing them to death. The reason why I'm not dead right now after hearing her that she died is because over the years I really healed a lot from that very trauma, but there's still parts of it inside of me that I have to work through. It's um it's just it just kills me that I have to be going through that. I have the enmeshment trauma, which means you don't know the difference between your mother's body and your own body, because of the mother. One reason is the mother was overprotective of you in your childhood, or your mother uh, what's that word I'm looking for? Held on to you a lot, and in doing so, you held on to her to feel security. She's doing it to feel security with you, and so you do the same thing back because you're the child. There's a whole way to explain this, but either way, I'm dealing with that. This is an extreme. People don't understand that if you could step inside somebody's body, right, and feel for them, I think I mean, definitely people would feel more empathy, because the very need to do that, or the wanting, or the wonder of that is suggests that you're probably a really empathetic person. It suggests that you're probably a really empathetic person. And so, if people could step inside of my body and feel for me, I mean, they wouldn't really live a week living inside my body. The amount of to how sensitive I am, and how sensitive I am to the pain I feel, and physical pain too, and traumas and triggers, and just so much. I mean, so much. My life has been a living hell, and they don't know this. And when I talk about it, they shut it down, because your siblings are going to do that, because they don't understand. They do not understand it, number one. And number two, they really don't want to understand, because for them to understand, it means that, it's like there's a certain thing that happens where in families where there's siblings, especially many siblings. There's so many children for the parents to keep attention on. So every single last one of them are going to feel at some point that this one is replacing me, and this one is getting more affection, more attention, more approval from the parent. And because of that, which is trauma, those children, whenever they see one child, or maybe more than one, whatever, they see that child in pain, right? When they see you in pain, they there's a kind of a non-empathy that happens, and it's not that they have zero empathy. It's just that there's a kind of a takeaway from empathy that happens, because when people, it's like, I mean, it's not just in families, in general. When people see somebody in pain, they run away and they shun it, and they dismiss it for a couple of reasons. One of them is because really truly they cannot deal with the main one that I'm trying to talk about right now. Is like they feel as though this person's pain and the expression of the pain takes away from their pain and takes attention away from them, and they don't want that. But at the same time, the mind is so complex where um, people see that happening. People feel those things happening in their bodies, but their mind don't know that that's what is going on with them. And so they make it about other things. They say, oh, you need to get a grip on your life. You're psychotic. You're crazy. You're narcissistic. You think it's all about you. Um, you're too emotional. All of these things are not really valid things. Like, if I could break down all of them and explain why they're just not valid things to tell people who are in pain, and it does nothing for the pain, and it does nothing for their own pain. But that's what it is. They're in pain, but they don't know they're in pain, or they know that they feel a stress and a distress, which is pain from trauma and from childhood, and sometimes, and in this case, related to this, of feeling replaced by this person's pain, and they don't know it's there because people are afraid to express that they have pain. And the next thing is that, my pain and your pain is a mirror of their own pain. And if they're afraid of looking at that pain, then they're seeing something inside of you that they don't want to see inside of themselves. And so they kind of shut it down. They shut you down. They tell you, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. That's another one. You know, you're crazy. You're psychotic. You think it's all about you. All these things that they're saying are just not really valid things to say. Because even if let's try to break them down. I mean, I'm just digressing in this whole talk. I came to talk about other things, but let me just go into this because it's closer to my heart. Let's say that let me write them down. Let's say that somebody is complaining about their pain because they're let's say they think it's all about them. Think it's all about them. Where are my pens at? Wow. Well, I gotta write in my abundance journal. I made it out of out of book pages later on. What I like about live is just I could just be here for 8 hours. I think it's still 8 hours, right? And just talk and just do whatever. When I was in a more like a psychosis state, I don't want to say psychosis, but I've suffered deeply with mental issues. I would sometimes be sitting in a live and I'm like talking to myself or just, in my head in a mentally not so good place doing that and not realizing not remembering that the camera is still on. So let's say somebody's complaining of pain of their emotional pain because they think it's all about them. Why is this just why is this just not a really valid reason to shut somebody down? And at the same time, why, if they think it's all about them, why is that valid? I think I should talk about that first. If somebody thinks something is all about them, then that person is suffering. Okay, and if they're suffering, from narcissism, yeah, you know, or they're suffering from being so sensitive to to hurt and to people's words and to their own trauma that they believe that everything that is coming, you know, from others is just directed at them because they've been through so much trauma and so sensitive that everything that they hear it hits them hard. It hits you hard, and when it hits you hard, it makes you feel as though um, the whole world is against you. You can't really think the whole world against you without thinking um, that it's all about you. It could really be coming, and I might assume that sometimes, for the most part, it's coming from a purely narcissistic place. Not purely, but a mostly narcissistic place. And even when it's coming from not so narcissistic place, there is still some narcissism that is like an impartial part um, of the whole thing. It's not directly narcissism, but there's still some that person still. I mean, we all have narcissism inside of us. Um, but yeah, so this person who thinks it's all about them, that would still be a valid pain, and something that they're going through. So telling them that is not really, it's not gonna bring them, it's not gonna make them feel better, and it's not gonna introduce any kind of healing to them. It's just something that you're putting onto them because you don't want to see yourself. And what's the next one? They're psychotic. They're psychotic. I mean, this speaks for itself. If you're psychotic, you're in pain. It's the pain that brought on the psychosis. So that person, if they're psychotic, they really do need you to listen to them. They really need to be heard. So when you're complaining about that their own pain and feeling like everything is about them, if that's a part of, I mean, that would be a part of it too. That kind of psychosis perception would kind of also have that as a kind of parallel thing that's running beside it. If um if that's the case and they're psychotic, they really need you to listen to them complaining about their shit. You don't have to listen, but they need that, and that need is valid, just like the complaint is valid, just like the feeling behind it is valid. You don't have to sit there and listen to anything. It'd be good if you can, but again, you yourself is in pain, and the pain is causing you to tell them things like you're psychotic, to dismiss it, to avoid the pain of, I feel like this person complaining about their pain is somehow taking away attention from me, taking away um, uh, taking away attention, and taking away from my own pain, because I'm in pain. And this person is here talking about their pain, and I hate that. I hate that you're talking about your pain. I'm over here in pain. I want somebody to listen to me, but I don't know that about myself because I can't get people to listen to me because I don't want people to listen. I want people to listen, but I don't, because then they're gonna do the same thing to me that I'm doing to you, which I'm trying to avoid, looking pathetic, looking needy, looking vulnerable, and looking like an idiot, looking soft, looking weak. So telling that person that, how did I end up talking about this, by the way? Telling that person that is not really is not bringing healing. It's not making them feel better. It's making them feel worse. And if you tell them that, what else was there? Psychotic, you think it's all about them, you think it's all about you. Oh, what I was also told that I was wicked, but that's a whole nother story. I don't know if that fits into what I'm trying to say here. But I can't find the other ones that I was trying to talk about. If you tell them that, if you tell them that they need help, again, needing help is because they're in pain. A lot of people don't know what is causing pain or what is causing them pain. A lot of people don't know that they're in pain. See, somebody just passed by here, and already I'm shifting from my center self. And the whole goal is to bring my center self fully in front of them. Totally. Totally. It's hard to do that when they cut you off every time you start talking. And in an argument, you're trying to get your point across, and people are like, they're trying to give their opinions, and because I'm so sensitive, their opinions start. One thing that makes me feel is that I'm not supposed to express my stuff because I'm going to lose them, and they're going to attack me or insult me and or hurt me physically, um, and or put me down. Kind of the same thing as an insult. Um, those things are what created my trauma, and my traumas of losing my center self with my higher self. But to go back to what I was talking about originally, I forgot. I digress. It's mostly because somebody just came by. They didn't even come there. They passed by the door. That's how bad it has been. And I'm way better now. Let me tell you, I'm way better now. And it's still affecting me that way. But what I need to remember is that as long as I continue to stay on a path of with being consistent and with continuity. Is that the word I'm looking for? As long as I keep with this rhythm and a constant, consistent, continuous routine um, kind of a thing every day, I think I'll be in good way. Yesterday, I got brave and decided I'm going to just dance, not in front of people, but in their energy, in their vicinity. So that was that was that was progress, because this progress is whether they see me or not, I'm going to do it. Whether I look stupid or not, I'm going to do it. Whether they see me looking stupid or not, I'm going to do it. I've never really been a dancer in front of my family like that. I danced in front of a sister of mine years ago when we went out to a party. And I drank. I was drinking at the time. I was drinking. I've been drinking. I've been drinking. I was drinking, and I got that liquor bravery. But then I started to dance right before I left Fort Lauderdale, where my mother was. Every time I think about it, my heart sink, because even though I don't regret making the move to go see about my health. I still feel a guilt because of whatever may cause her to get sick and die. A small part of it, or maybe a big part of it, a part of it is her being worried about me leaving and not bringing her to Jamaica when was supposed to. And even though I don't regret the move itself, I regret things happening the way it did. And I regret leaving her per se. I don't regret making the move. I regret leaving her in an environment where the care was limited. Mm. So, I mean, I can't believe I lost my train of thought. And I think I should muscle my way and struggle my way into finding it back, because that's what I need to do to heal myself. I suffer, I digress again, but this is what I'm going to be doing right now. I suffer from not knowing if is it more important for me to bring it out in front of them so I don't have to dissociate as much. I mean, once I do that, it's best to do it. But do I have to do it to be able to sit in front of a camera like this and create content and also manifest? The manifestation aspect of it is a thing, because if you're not being your true self in front of everyone, it's harder for you to manifest. Especially somebody like me who has not really been myself in front of anyone. It's harder to manifest because when you're hiding from the universe, you're telling the universe you're hiding from your blessings. You're putting yourself in a box. You're putting yourself in a box hiding. And that's you. That's the box, and that's you. And the blessings should be coming to you, because you're not giving out and hiding. They won't. They'll be going elsewhere. They won't even be going elsewhere, because really they won't materialize for this dimension. So that's the metaphysical kind of symbolic um, aspect of when you're hiding. people who live with social anxiety, and let me tell you, social anxiety and social phobia is by far the most painful. Okay, should I call it a mental illness? It's the most painful situation and disorder that you could live with. It and to the degree that I was living with it, it destroyed my life. Right now, I'm like I think I started out this video saying that I don't remember where in the video I said, but I feel this apocalyptic energy in the sphere of Earth right now, and the social anxiety that I've been living with, it caused me to not be able to be myself and take action. Years ago, when I started to really stream through a wealth of knowledge, and that happened, and for years, I mean, for a good 10 years, it was bad, and to this day, I still have it to some degree. But I'm really grateful that I'm just so much better than I used to be. Social anxiety, there's some people that cannot be alone, and that's painful, especially if you have to be alone at some point. But there's no pain. You don't know real pain until you live with social anxiety and a certain degree of social anxiety. Because I'm telling you, everything you have to do in this life, everything, at least if you want to be happy, involves other people, involves family, involves friends, involves coworkers, involve the people you have to buy things from. Okay, involves people who are going to help you. Everything you're doing in this life involves other people. So if you're living with the kind of social anxiety that I was living with, where I couldn't even be around a baby, but I had to force myself to be around, especially old people, to do these jobs, because of my social anxiety, I couldn't manifest something like a husband, or at least at first. I was married. Well, I got divorced earlier this year. I couldn't manifest people to help me, so I had to be battling this social anxiety with battling being able to 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 um to write and create content to be successful. But I can't really do that because the social anxiety is going to hold that back any damn way. But because I had to work for myself, because I was getting no help from anyone, that caused a whole lot of setback. And if I'm working a full-time job, it's hard for me to do this work. The only time that was possible, I mean, the job wasn't full time, but it was okay because I had a car and I was doing these driving jobs. So in between trips, when I was driving for medical transportation, in between trips, I would be writing, and then after I'm done, I drove to a park, and I would sit and write at the park, and and that was a part of my life that, because of the social anxiety and not being able to be myself around my family and people, I was in a lot of pain, but I was receiving this big time information from the universe, and that felt great. I felt a purpose. I was so inspired and so motivated, but because of the social anxiety and not being able to get in front of it. Well, if you go back to some of my earlier videos, you would see that I was wearing these dark glasses, and I was frumpy, and I couldn't speak, and I got better over time very slowly. And then some days were better than some other days as far as speaking. But right in this moment, I would have to say, would be the beginning of being able to start to be able to bring out my higher self in front of camera. Because right now my speech is okay. It's not like I'm making a speech But the way I'm speaking right now, compared to what I used to be in front of a camera, oh my God. Whew. I remember one time I was in front of the camera and Jesus, I broke down like a million times in sweat trying to speak to get my point across. One time I just started to blow really hard and it was just it was like this is impossible. And the biggest fears I have was, my family and people who know me see me talking about these things, and then they become like, "Oh my God, who the hell is she? We don't know that side of her." And that very thing is happening right now because now I'm in Jamaica, and the very what I predicted happening is happening, and it's way worse than I thought it would have been. Because I knew what I felt was extremely painful, but what I'm feeling right now, I mean, today I have a relief, and because I danced yesterday and got out of my shell, like it brought me big relief. But what I'm feeling right now is relative to my siblings and being in Jamaica right now is extreme like rejection and the pain of that. And some people might say, well, if they don't accept you for who you are, then let's let them go. It's not that easy, especially somebody like me who I don't know people at all. The only other people I know was my husband and the neighbors around the area that we were living in. And I know a couple people from my high school. I have them on WhatsApp now. There's this ex-boyfriend that I know, and maybe a couple other human beings. But I really don't know many people. So to lose your family and your whole family, which is about to happen, because the more I come out of my shell, the more I become myself. In front of them is going to be the harder things are going to become even worse. But what I need to lean on and remember is that I'm going to feel a sense of pride and a sense of being proud of myself and being relief and being inspired and motivated because I'm doing this, because I'll be able to bring out that side of myself, bring out my higher self through my words, through my knowledge, through wisdom in front of a camera, hopefully soon in front of them. Um, that is going to bring me great peace of mind. I think what I tried to express earlier is that I don't know yet that I could just not bring that side out in front of the people that I know and my family and still be able to manifest a career. I don't know. This is what I'm trying to get a couple other experts, people who, well, just one other person who is very much versed in these areas, um, and a couple of them more than me. If I could get this one person that I want to answer a question, to answer the question for me, just to answer this one question for me, like I said under one of her posts, it will be the highlight of my universe. Here's this video, this guy advertising a course. It's a me as a emotional expert. I don't know I don't know why the universe seemed to be telling me that I need to be doing this. I don't know how that would fit into my niche. What I'm working towards is marketing my coaching business again. I'm trying to coach again. I gave up on it like 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. Yeah. And I said I'm just going to create content. I don't know how it fits in, but let me stick a pin. The course of courses. I'm still trying to figure out if just creating content. I'm wondering if I develop the fear of them, develop the if I release the fear of them seeing my content, and just if I the will to just do it and do it fully and give it all, regardless if they see it. Is that what I need more so than to bring it out in front of them? Because that would make more sense. Because there are people, and I've seen people with even social anxiety that create content, and maybe they don't want to be seen, but they got a lot of views. And then at the same time, a a polar opposite inside of everyone that is a certain way that wants the opposite of what the other person wants or what the other side wants. So us people with social anxiety, we don't want to be seen, and it's really because we want to be seen. What I mean by that is, when you really want to be seen and you fear you won't be seen, you hide yourself to avoid not being seen, to avoid witnessing not being seen. So it's like you want to be seen so badly that you'd rather hide from being seen to actually than see that people are not seeing you. So you just avoid people altogether. So you won't have to run up into any situation where they're not seeing you. So a lot of those people who made social anxiety videos, they were doing this because there's a part of them, especially since they're it's to what degree. There's what makes up this universe is, and the elements of life is 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 what and how much and why. All of these things, they work. So things are not just one thing. It's not just set as one thing. It's it's about to what degree you have those things that it will affect you. Because what I'm saying is those people didn't want to be seen. But because of what I just explained of people who don't want to be seen, they also want to be seen. If the part of them that don't want to be seen is not big enough, what wasn't as big as mine, then they will attract viewers and they will attract success. Is to what degree both of those things are existing inside of you. If you want to be seen, if the part of you that don't want to be seen is really big, meaning you have it really bad, and you're so desperately afraid of not being seen, that you're so desperately afraid of being seen, and it makes that not being seen part, that the wanting of not being seen so big inside of you, then you're not gonna get a lot of views. It's like my videos. I mean, one of them is doing okay right now. One of them is I have like I have like I'm going up to 4,000 views now with that video. The video about black people and IQ. So I need a way to promote that video. Um, I need to put it in my stories. I need a way to put that YouTube video, the entire video, because I can't use clips. I need to put it on my stories or my IGTV. I don't think you could have IGTV. I don't even know how this works. But I'm doing an Instagram course, so I'm gonna get better. Woo! But if you don't, this is a new topic I'm coming with. If you don't take action when you feel relief, and when you worked on yourself and you got to a good place, if you don't take action from that relief place, like me, I was so deeply afraid of being on camera. Last night I went dancing and it helped me to come out of my shell a little bit. If I And that brought a big relief. If I don't take action to make videos from that space of the relief, you kind of you shut down yourself back into how you were before. So it's almost like the effects of that came with dancing. They kind of go away back, and then you back to being afraid of making videos and dancing. Um, the topic that I started talking about it's really my life story, but it's about I started talking about purpose first and how people enter this life with purpose. Um, I think about talking about it, and then I get this feeling, this big, bold, buggy feeling inside of me of don't do it because it's gonna make you feel that feeling, and it's just really it's sucky because that feeling is just it pulls me down. It pulls me down a lot. Pulls me down a lot. But what I'm gonna talk about right now is my health. My body don't feel strong, and a lot it could seem like a lot of it has to do with what I'm feeling in the energy, the collective energy of Earth right now is apocalyptic. I'm feeling a weakness in my legs, and it could be because I'm so deeply afraid of moving forward. It's like when you can't move forward and you're afraid of moving forward. That's symbolic for legs, and a lot of people who get a lot of leg injury because moving forward is your legs moving forward. These things sound like stupidness to people, but really you have to understand that this universe is all about thought. The universe is all about thought. Thought creates. So all all of what thought is and everything that is related becomes one stream of thought that cause them to feed into one another and relate to one another and become symbolic from our perspective, from our 3D perspective in this life. They just become symbolic. So when you talk about moving forward, it's a thought it's a thought aspect in the universe that, because thought is creating and thought creates that, thought creates legs, and we use leg thought to perceive legs, and thought to perceive moving forward, and thought to perceive even driving. Anything that is moving forward is going to be symbolic of one another. And so when you dream, sometimes when you're dreaming, the things you see in your dream, they say dreams don't walk straight, and it's true. They're very symbolic things. They don't represent exactly what you think they represent. So you might be having a dream, and you see a car moving forward. It could be symbolic of your life moving forward, or you feel like your life not moving forward. And sometimes, maybe depending on how not moving forward your life is, maybe that car could be moving backwards. So we understanding symbolism, it doesn't have to be that hard. As long as we understand that, um, I wrote this down the other day. It's that my memory is not keeping up with and being consistent with the work. It messes with my memory because I dissociate so much. If I could find where I wrote it, I love the way I wrote that whole thing. It was saying that it was saying that the universe is a okay. I'm remembering. Is a photo, is a, hold on. What book did I write it in? Not so, not so. Oh, come on, piece of shit. I'm almost sure I'm not gonna find it. That's how pessimistic I am. I was trying to explain time space continuum. You know what? It's not in this book. How to change a belief. Here it is. No, it's not. Oh, I remember now where I wrote it. It's on the computer. It's in a Word document. I'm not even downloading documents. Right. This is my ebook I wrote. I wrote this ebook. I wrote this ebook about how to change. It's an ebook about how to change a belief using time space continuum. My thing is, why can't I just put the book up? But the software that I'm supposed to use is giving me hell. Why isn't it not coming up? Isn't it? I suffer from a kind of a weird thing where I believe everything means something. I mean, everything means something, but I just feel like, you know, when certain setback happens, it tells me, it made me feel as though I shouldn't do something. Like I shouldn't be doing this what I'm doing right now because this thing's taking forever to load. Let's see. Uh-oh. Why is this so small? Okay, so here it is. The concept of time space continuum. Because time and space. I'm not gonna put the continuum part of it because I'm not sure. Um, okay, it says being that thought creates the universe and everything in it. Thought never stops creating. The energy that holds the universe together is operating as a photo reflective memory system. This means the universe records every moment in a continuous ongoing form. This also means that every moment is still a moment that is existing now. So if time travels, if time travel is possible, you could go back in time and do something different in a moment or occurrence and change the future of every happening moment relative to that occurrence in the timeline. So, like I was just trying to explain, I was trying to explain that thought creates, and because thoughts create, you know, the whole idea of of the universe, the thought aspect of the universe. The universe, I don't want to say the universe thinking because it's going to sound crazy to people. Is a photoreflective memory system, meaning everything it sees or perceives is existing, um, is existing now, and it is in a continuous form. So the one reason why everything is symbolic of one another, certain related things are symbolic of one another, like the concept of moving forward. It's not a physical thing; it's a concept. It's an idea. It's an abstract thing that is not something you could touch. Is going to be symbolic of with your legs. Your legs um, are going to be symbolic with those things because the universe is holding all of those concepts um, together. It's taking a picture, whether a visual picture or a concept picture of those things being the same kind of thing, related, okay, either directly or indirectly or closely or remotely related. And so this is how they become symbolic of one another because you share a mind with the universe. Your mind is the mind that the universe has. It's just that in your energy field, your direct mind is unique to you because it's even though you're connected to everything and connected to everything in the universe, still you're still an individual in a certain way. So it's almost like a tree. The tree is one thing, and a leaf on the tree is a part of the whole thing. That is the tree, and whatever the whole tree is going through and thinking, the leaves is being affected, and the leaves is kind of thinking too. But at the same time, that leaf is going to be unique and has um, its own its own thoughts and its own. If leaves think, we don't know yet that leaves don't think. I mean, I think everything thinks. Whatever. And we know plants feel. Some plants feel. Plants suffer. They feel all of that stuff. So yeah, so that leaf is has its own consciousness, even though it shares a consciousness with the whole tree. And that's how the universe is. We're sharing one consciousness in the universe. but still we have our own individual consciousness that serves us. Just like every cell in our body has its own unique individual consciousness, even though it's sharing a consciousness with every other cell in the body and everything around you, and everything in your energy field, and everything outside, and everything in the universe. It's all connected. Okay, so I think I started out saying that my legs, yeah, I remember my legs are weak. My legs are so weak. And one reason is because it's a fear of moving forward, and a fear that moving forward won't bring any results because of what I'm feeling or how apocalyptic the energy feels in this universe right now. There's an apocalyptic feel of the universe right now. You know, my face got fatter, and I thought that my body feels skinny because Kevin Jackson. Hi, wow, you still. I remember you from like a year ago or months ago when I used to do live stream. I don't remember you guys when I'm not like streaming. After a while, I forget your names, but then I come back and see your name and I remember. Um, are you still there, Kevin? There's just one person watching. um, I think laughing at that and laughing at myself will help me. Um, yeah. So I know. Yeah. So my legs are weak, and I do believe there's some negative energy being directed towards me too. So that's going on. Spiritual warfare. Well, there is a spiritual warfare going on. Anybody have any topics for me? I'll take topics. I don't know if person watching now is Kevin Jackson. You know, more than a month ago, because I was pretty much homeless, um, I was out in the sun a lot, and I got burnt up. And then I came here, and they didn't recognize me. I mean, they don't recognize me like my personality either. But um, yeah. So I think I'm trying to say that I think my skin is not as burnt as it used to be. I'm not really out in the sun now. It's crazy because I'm in Jamaica. I made it though. You mean from being homeless? Hi, Dave. I remember Dave too. These are loyal people. If you change your if you change your name and or um, profile pictures, I won't recognize you. And if I ever make it big, guys, like if I ever make it like really big, homeless. Okay, so you said you're homeless. Um, yeah, I'm not homeless now, but if I don't do something fast, it could happen again. So if I make it really big, um, don't feel bad that I forget people right now, and there's only a few people. But don't feel bad. Don't think I'm being an asshole. It's I have a memory problem to begin with, but it's getting better. So, any questions? Any topic you want me to talk on? Since I'm in a better place right now than I used to be. I have a podcast. A podcast. I had a podcast. I had a podcast, and I did like 3 or 4 or just three. Um, what do they call it? Recordings. Um, but you're right. It might be something. I need to do while I'm here. And maybe I need to do the podcast with the video. Is there a way to record a podcast on a computer? Because my phone it does not have a lot of space for it. Let me know, Dave, if there's a way to record a podcast on the computer. I have a microphone and I have a good microphone. That's the thing. It's not a stand up microphone right now. It's not standing now. But I have a microphone. Good thing I brought it because I had the microphone in combination with a loudspeaker. And what the hell am I asking you? Of course you could record and people that's what people do. Like the big people, they're recording it on their computers. Yeah, I should look on YouTube because YouTube the information. I don't even know what I'm asking you. But everybody that I see recording podcasts and videos or whatever, there's a computer there and they hook it up. What am I asking you? So I think I think I think that's a good thing, and it could probably bring me quicker money than what I'm looking into right now. Maybe but I still don't know if I have to be able to speak a certain way in front of my family to be able to heal myself enough to risk to get because my I keep giving up in life over and over because because hold on, let's do this as a separate window because I haven't been able to be myself and not manifesting because of that. um and it's like I wanted to manifest despite that, but that wasn't happening, and so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna give up, and then I give up, and then I realize that I've given up, but I don't want to give up. If I wanted to give up or commit suicide, I would have already. It's like a something that is there that is an option, not a good option, of course, not the best option, but is an option, and I've been there feeling suicidal maybe all my life, but I haven't done it yet, which means one, I have a place in this world. Two, I'm supposed to be here. Three, I don't really want to do it. And trust me, life has become extremely painful for me now. It's like one, I'm raising my vibration and I'm getting better in a lot of sense, but in another sense, a whole lot of bullshit is going on. I mean, a whole lot. Some of the worst things you could think about in family life. Hold on. Thomas Edison took about 1,500 times before he discovered the right material to make the light bulb. Thank you. And that's the issue I'm having with my family. And I understand because, I mean, they don't want me to be living off of them while I figure my life out. It's just that I know that if I get a full time job, I'm gonna be too burnt out to do this work. Mm, yeah, everyone has a gift, right? That's right. And so I'm having that problem with my family. Like they're like, it's not working out for you. I'm like, well, how the hell you know it's not working out for me? You don't know that yet. And it's not because it's not working out for me or it won't work. That they don't really want me to do it because they don't want to be this person. They don't recognize this side of me, and it makes them uncomfortable and intimidated. And there's some jealousy and stuff involved. But of course, people don't show that side of themselves, so they're not gonna say that. So they keep telling me to quit and telling me, "Oh, it's not for you." And the other night, I referred to myself as an expert, and they're like, "Oh, you're not an expert." And they think that they're telling me the right things, but they don't know that they're trying to put me down. and they think they don't know that that's what they're doing, because when you're used to life being a certain way and you have used to these things being the norm, to say these things, it's normal to say, especially in certain cultures, it's normal. Okay, the underlying darkness, the underlying shadow behind why you're saying these things are not cropping up in your conscious mind for you to realize that it's really coming from a dark place, and it's really your darkness and ego and and your shadows, your dark side coming out, you know, because you've already convinced yourself that you're a good person along with these things are normal. So, I mean, if you convince yourself you're a good person, you know, the bad things you do and say to people, especially if they're very subtle and they're not seen as bad by the general culture, the culture in general, you'll convince yourself that you're doing the right thing for these people and that you're a good person. And if somebody says that they're gonna be um if you're if somebody in your family says you're gonna be the president, then oh, that won't happen. Now it probably won't happen, but you don't know that it won't happen. No matter what, no matter what somebody says they're going to be, if you shut it down, no matter how lofty, no matter how far fetched it seems or impossible, if you shut it down, you're putting them down. Period. If I have a son and he said he's going to become prime minister of this country, because the country that I'm in, they don't do presidents, they do prime ministers, and I say, no, that won't happen. That's just it's a projection of how I feel about myself. It's like, Um, I don't think I could do anything that big. So why do you think you could do anything that big? Who do you think you are? It's like you can't do it because I can't do it. Or I don't think that big. So don't you think that big? It's a put down, but they don't know that it's a put down because it's so normal for them to use that language, and they convince themselves that they're good people. When you convince yourself you're a good person, you know, p- good people are bad people. The goodest people in the world, they're bad people. Okay? Because 9 times out of 10, these are the people who are good, right? They're so good because they have to put that out there because they're bad and they're ashamed of that they're bad. So they have this split in their consciousness of that being one side of them that they're not aware of a lot of times, but it still come out in their personality because it has to. Can't not come out in some shape or form and to some degree. And so they these really good people are really bad people. Okay, they're bad people. I saw the word bad just crop up. Badass. Okay, and nobody's really good, really, and nobody's really bad. But it's easy to recognize the bad things because they're so like abrasive and they're so painful to watch, and they affect your life in a negative way, and negativity causes pain. So it's easy for us to see the badness than the goodness in people. And it's so easy for us to say, people are bad more than good. Maybe people are really more bad than good. It sounds pessimistic, but maybe people are really more bad than good because the subconscious is so much bigger than the conscious. Okay, and the fact that people are trying to be good to be loved, so they're hiding their bad side. Okay, and the fact that the ego is still there and the dark side is still there. Maybe most of us are still more bad than good. Doesn't mean we don't have good inside of us. And what is good anyway? I mean, what is good? Good is coming from what? What motivates good? Most of what motivates good is the need to be accepted and to be loved. You know, Being bad, is bad and it's painful, and nobody wants that for themselves, and they don't want it from other people. But it's very possible that we're more bad than good. All of us. It's just that some of us have that bad side more than others, but still, we're still more bad than good. And I'm not saying it's set in stone. I'm not saying that's what it is for sure, but it could be. I just thought about my sisters watching me talk like this, and I shut down right away. That pause I just took, that's what happened to me. Jesus. I don't remember. I have conscious memories of my past life. There's other people who were born with the same gifts that I was born with, being multiple intuitive and knowledge intuitives, that remember clearly, not just past life, but pretty much every past life. I don't have conscious memory. I have memories of, I see visuals of things that gives me a feeling of it being in the past. And I still don't know that I was there. It could be just intuition that comes up in a clairvoyant way for me to know a certain event that took place. I don't know for sure that that was my life. Maybe some of it is my life, some of it is not. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But to say that I know that that was my just my recent past life, or my past life before my recent past life, or three past lives ago, I can't say that. I can't say that. Why did I end up talking about this? I don't remember why I ended up talking about this past life stuff. I was trying to make a point. I forgot. I cannot believe that my mother is gone. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I suffered a deep trauma in childhood, a deep enmeshment trauma that made me feel as though my mother would live forever. This is not even a thank you. This is not even a possibility for anyone. But when you suffer an enmeshment trauma, you don't know. You don't know the difference between you and this person. And the attachment is so deep and so strong. It makes you, it tells you things in your mind about this person, mother or father, or sibling, or any family member for that matter. It tells you that things, very strange things about them. Things like they will always live forever. And it's not that you know that they will always, or believe they will always live forever. It's that you want that so bad, that and the attachment is so strong that that's what you want, and you feel that. And because you want it, and that's what you feel and need so bad, somewhere in your mind, something process it as that's what it is. I saw they sent a picture of her body. What the hell happened? They sent a picture of her body. I don't know why they would do that. It's really insensitive. The person who sent it is an insensitive person. And the backstory behind all of that is shocking and unbelievable. And that's when I'm going to sound psychotic. But the picture was sent, and that was floating around of her body. And it's just like a lifeless thing. Like, where's that person? Where is that person? There's just somebody, a life living inside that body is just gone. You know, and they're talking about cremation, and I'm not. I don't want that to happen, but I don't really want to look at a body in a casket either. But cremation does something to you. So some people, it does different things for different people. For some people, it helps them with closure better because they don't get to look at it. And and for some people like me, cremation, when you suffer the kind of enmeshment trauma that I'm talking about, you don't want cremation because that's just even pulling the person like in a symbolic way, in a mental way, further away from. It's like you know that they're gonna go under the earth and decay. But the fact that the body that the person belonged to is just gonna you're gonna be reduced to just ashes, to just dust. That does something to me. It does something deep to me that I don't know. Again, the enmeshment will do that to you. I mean, in general, children tend to see their parents as God. You see your parent as a God, like a literal God, right? You'll see them as they brought me into this world. I mean, that's how we perceive our parents. And the thing they tell us, we believe them. They lie to us, that we believe them. Because there's this thing there that you want so badly, the connection that you want so badly to maintain it. You'll do anything to maintain it. So, you know, um, um, I don't know. I don't know about discrimination stuff. I mean, are both your parents alive, Dave? Are you still there? Are both your parents still alive? How did they bury them? If your parents are still alive, if you have a dead parent, I mean, how are they buried? You know, um, I don't know. Yeah. Fortunately for you, they're still alive, but still, that cremation stuff it just has me. They're both 79. Wow, my mom was only 77, but she didn't take care of herself like she needed to, and she liked being sick because being sick made her feel get a lot of pity and a lot of attention, and that makes her feel loved, and that was her identity, you know. So she kind of like relished in the she created sickness for herself, not consciously, not deliberately, but she did subconsciously, and you know, it's just a sad situation, and I'm being blamed for her death because you know, really, to tell you the truth, my mother was emotionally abusive to me. The trauma that I suffered with her was from that emotional abuse. But in my culture and in the world right now, we don't even recognize emotional abuse. And when I was living, if you remember, my setting was like different 2 years ago because I remember you were watching my streams like 2 years ago, maybe more than 2 years ago. They keep changing up anyway. I had another setting where when I was married with my husband, and right now I'm somewhere else because I keep running away from the situation. And last time I had to bring her to Jamaica, because she was getting weaker. But my at the time my brother was not working, so I left there and I had to go see about my own health because I had liver and gallbladder problems, and I had to take her to Jamaica, and then I had to, but I couldn't. I had to take her. I had to take myself to somewhere else so I don't freaking drop dead and die. And right now I'm still having those some of those health issues. Got to remember the gratitude. And so after that, she declined, um, which I understand the blame. But the thing, when I left there, she was on her feet. She was still be able to move about and do stuff. Which why one reason why the decline is a mystery to me. And it's not a mystery to me because I know what is really causing it. The main thing, it's an unbelievable story. Like I said before, if I tell it, y'all are gonna think I'm crazy. Still, she declined, and one reason was her worried about me and where I was, and her not coming to Jamaica. It's a part of it. It is, but it's not the whole of it. Another thing is the people that I live with, my brother and his baby mama, was enabling her to be weak. They didn't want her to do anything because in his mind, to love your mother is to make her not do anything. Which really, the other way around is really the truth. If you love your mother, she needs to move her body to do little things like wash her own dish, or fold some of her clothing up. Take herself a bath. These little things, while she's walking and while she's still able to do these things, she should be doing. Because if you stay on the couch and in the bed, from the couch to the bed, you're telling your body that you're dead, and so you manifest death. So those two things are a part of it, and the next thing that is a part of it is unbelievable. And I'm not going to talk about it until I'm in a different setting, if I get in a different setting. Because, like I said, there's some apocalyptic thing creeping up in the energy of the universe right now. It could be that maybe, you know, this is going to sound crazy, but, I mean, when people have a loss anyway, they go through a grieving process. And when you're going through grieving, sometimes you yourself manifest your own death. This is why one reason, sometimes when one person die in a family, the other ones just start dropping like flies. It's because that grief, I mean, according to the law of attraction, you are what you attract. And grief is akin to death. Grief and death is very, very close. And so when you're grieving, and especially people who decide they're going to grieve and not talk about it, not work on it, just keep it suppressed, keep it inside, become depressed, become just distraught, can't function. After a while, they manifest the illness, or they get in an accident, or some they manifest something that takes them. It's like those families where the mother, the wife dies, and then the father either commits suicide because of it, or got sick because of worrying about it. That's how it works. It's still the law of attraction. It's like, you're going through grief, you're dealing with grief, then you're dealing with death. Grief and death are like the energy of grief and the energy of death, they go together. And so you attract death from grieving so much. This is why I'm so glad that I'm in a place where I understand and I'm aware that feeling your body and feeling what you're feeling, sinking deep, allowing whatever you feel to devour you, to just take you over fully, is how to heal, is how to integrate the pain and ultimately integrate traumas. So, so every day I make time to make sure whatever I feel about my mother come up and I feel it. You know, even I still cry, every time I think about it, because I see her lifeless body in the picture, and I'm like, the person that I knew, that's just a shell. The shell is just a shell now. The person that I knew is just, as exit. It's like I never seen that ever coming ever in my life. It sounds crazy, like I said before, but I had a perception of my mother of being, especially when I was a child, she was just a strong woman who just be doing everything, and I may argue that physical strength, but it was coming from an emotional weakness because she was such a codependent when it comes to my father and when it comes in general. She felt like she had to do everything and she had to make everything so perfect to not upset him or to to keep him, and but still it translates physically as physical strength. And so that made me see her as this superwoman person. So when she got older, and after her and her and her husband, my father, separated, and I believe that's a part of the depression that made her not want to move. When that started to happen, it really, like, I mean, my mother was always a moving person. Whenever one time we knew her, she would just she'd get up in the morning and she's doing thing after thing after thing in the house. She would be the type to complain about it and mope about it and just be in worry mode all the time, but she was always still doing it physically. So that did not that the perception of her being superwoman is not helping me. It's not helping the idea of her being uh dead, start feeling weird to me. Like, being dead is, to me, I mean, like I said before, children see their parents as super people, as gods. So her being dead now, with that perception, with me seeing her as superwoman when I was little, and the enmeshment trauma, really programmed in my brain that this person will never die. And I realize now that I had the same perception of my own, because I'm the youngest of 9 children. But I'm close with some, and I'm especially now I'm close with some more than others. I'm not really super close with any of them right now because of what went down with my mother, um, and because of them seeing me coming out of my shell, trying to be a spiritual teacher and a philosopher, and they're pulling themselves away from me. So pretty soon, I'm probably not gonna have any of them, and then that's gonna be something that's going to be strange for me. Um, yeah, seeing a lifeless body in that body that I thought would never ever go is really messing with my head. Is really messing with my head because I never thought that day would come. I really wish somebody could let me know if oh, thank you, Black One. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Is he still there? Yeah. When you click on the messages here, right? Um. Oh no. When you click on the messages, the chat messages, um, I thought they would give you the option of replying in. It says pin message, report, remove, put user, time. I don't know. Hide user, hide user in this. It's not saying it cuts off. Add moderator. It's not really saying, it's not giving you the option of replying directly to the person. Why isn't that a thing? That should be a total thing. Anyway, I need to um oh, and when I do that, if I type your name, for example, and I put the at in front of it, do you see it right away, or do you have to scroll through the things to see if somebody replied to you? Okay, they changed, but do you see it? Do you get? Does it appear right under your comment? Does it becomes a comment thread under your comment if I reply to it? Uh, oh, so maybe I should try. Hold on. Let's see. At Black One. Okay, so it's highlighted in yellow. And if it's highlighted in yellow, is it gonna show as a highlight only to you and or the person? I'm assuming that there would be a bunch of highlights in the thread if that's the case. You guys have any questions for me about anything in the universe, anything in the mind, anything with people you want to understand? Because I said I was gonna make a lecture, if I could call it that, of like deep topics um of my life story, parts of it being my life story, and or parts of it being parts of it just being philosophies and stuff. Okay, only to yourself. Okay, so you guys are free to ask me questions right now because I said I was gonna make this video as long as I need as it could be, and I probably need to go back trying to. What I'm trying to make topics and remembering my teachings, remembering my philosophies, my insights, you know, my wisdom, my nuggets of wisdom things. I struggle, and the struggle makes me feel like I don't want to do it. Okay, let me know. Let me know if you guys have any topics, because I have a course that I do on marketing on Instagram, and I have to do that. I have to do one lesson every day because that's how I plan it in my routine. And if I could start it earlier, then I guess I could. But I feel like today I really want to do this, and I should probably force myself. Let me see if there's any topics in my book I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about like I want to talk about stuff that's like how do you feel about overcoming depression and general apathy? How do I feel? Okay, well let me first explain how I see these things and how either I define it or how it's defined. Then I'll tap into um, how I feel about overcoming it. Okay, let me start somewhere. So, as far as depression, depression is mostly super internalized um, self hatred, low self esteem, and also loneliness. So it's like a lot of loneliness combine, and really these things are all attached. So the the loneliness is a result of the low self-esteem, and and the low self-esteem kind of feeds the loneliness. I'll talk about the anxieties after. Let me address this first. um so depression is mostly low self-esteem with loneliness, high levels of low self-esteem, high levels of loneliness. If there's something else I need to put into it, I'll, if it comes to me, I'll let you know. um People in depression, they feel very alone, and sometimes it's very easy to have something like social anxiety with depression, because that low self-esteem will make you want to avoid people, to avoid them rejecting you. So when you're dealing with people who are depressed, the first thing you have to do is you cannot, you can't tell them things like snap out of it or expect them to snap out of it. They cannot. They really have to go into, just like the depression is like the deepest um kind of a, is it the deep, okay, there's a lot of shame involved in depression too. Okay, it just came to me. So shame, powerlessness, fear, all that stuff. Okay, so what was I gonna say? You cannot, they cannot do things like journal or affirmations. That's for people who are not, or who have problems, but they're not depressed per se. Those things could help a depressed person, but to rely on those things on that level alone is not going to be effective. And no, it's not going to be effective there. So they have to really go to intense therapy, meaning they need a lot of venting, and that it's a challenge for them, because people who are depressed, a lot of times the reason why they're depressed is that they have a little internalized feeling, which means there's a lot of pride behind it. So and that pride causes them to not want to talk. You know, sometimes because the talking, people like that, sometimes they believe that people don't want to listen to them. Hence the depression. When you talk venting, anger release, they need to scream in the pillow. They need to, oh, when you're in depression, you need to move your body, you know. And it's like a contradiction again, because when you're depressed, a lot of depressed people, all they do is sleep. They just want to sleep, because they want to wake up and be reminded why they're depressed. You understand? They just sleep. They sleep a lot, because sleeping is escapism. It's escaping what I'm going through. So, but they need to move their bodies, and that's the thing. It's like how we feel tells us what we need to do to feel better, and it's usually the wrong things. If I'm depressed, I'm just gonna sleep, but that's, you need to do the opposite of that, and it comes so automatic, because automatically I want to sleep, but not sleeping is going to take effort. But when you're depressed, effort feels terrible, because it means you have to really push, and depression makes you feel like you lose motivation a lot of the times. So effort feels like hell, like the literal hell. So um, yeah, they need to vent. They need to vent and scream in pillows and release anger, a lot of anger, because there's a lot of fear, shame, powerlessness involved. They need to do that. They need to address the shame. Okay, once they do that, I guess they can start to address the shame and or guilt, if there's some guilt, if they're dealing with some guilt. Um, And this would have to be, it's best for it to be with a professional and or expert coach, somebody who is good at um, going into the subconscious to find the root causes of the shame, the root causes of the problems, the root causes of the depression. That helps to, when you do a kind of a mind probing. Hold on, Dave. I know you're writing more things, and I want to speak and then address what you're writing. When you do a kind of a mind probing going into the subconscious, it helps to it helps to discover the root causes of not just the depression itself, but the parts and parcels of what is feeding the depression, the different negative beliefs, okay, the different negative traumas that happen. So um, yeah, so they need some mind probing. They need to go into the subconscious to discover the root of the shame, and they need a lot of inner child work. They need a lot of inner child work is really good at this point. I wouldn't suggest they start doing like what is known as parts work yet, because parts work is a very icing on the cake type of thing. It's very powerful, and what it is we're all fragmented because of trauma, and so you allow, it's the different methods of doing it, but you allow the part of you that feels, let's say, the deepest part of you that feels the deepest depressive feeling to become you, become your entire you, and you spend time talking about what you're feeling, and sometimes you could just visualize that part of yourself outside of you. I mean, there's a million and one ways to do that stuff, but inner child work is very important at this point. So a very effective way to deal with depression is inner child work. Is going back to reliving the memories of the root beliefs that is causing the depression, the root traumas, the root feelings. Whatever feels something, every belief has a, every feeling has a belief behind it, and have thoughts behind it. So when you're going there, you're you are, I forgot what I was gonna say, but doing that inner child work, you, oh yeah, you're reliving past traumas. Now you don't, most of us don't even remember consciously our past traumas, but you could do it in a feeling level, as in try to tap into the feeling itself, and whatever image is coming up, you watch the image as it happens. And what I do in my practice is I tell people to reverse what was done. So you watch it first play out, then you reverse it. When you reverse it, this is inner child work. When you reverse it, you come back to a place, and you could replay it going forward, or replay the reversing aspect of it as many times as you need to. When you get to a place of relief, you don't have to feel perfect or not depressed anymore. I mean, when doing it, you're not going to feel the deepest effect of the feelings of the depression in any way. But you want to take your place to a place of relief. Relief. Okay, relief is not as extensive as total integration or healing, but it's relief, and it's better than the depression itself. So once you're there, you want to start to comfort your inner child. So now you could ask your inner child to come forward in the visualization, and whatever the child needs. So if the child was felt rejected by the parent, you're going to do the opposite of that in the visualization. So if you felt neglected, you're going to do the opposite of what the neglect, whatever caused the neglect. So you might not have the exact memory, but the feeling feels like neglect, feels like rejection. And so if you don't have the exact memory, you're going to create You're going to create a scenario in your head as a visualization to do the opposite of what was done. And you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep reliving it, replaying it until you get more relief. Because your healing and your integration is just is they're just layers and layers and layers of relief. It's just progressions of relief, and those relief represent another layer of healing, another layer of those trauma has been released, and that's what the relief is. And so what you want to do is um you want to, yeah, like I said, keep reliving, not reliving, but redoing what was done. So if whether you actually remember what was done or not, you're going to, let's say, um you recognize that what was done was your mother, well, that's more abandonment than neglect, but let's talk about abandonment. Let's say you you realize, either in conscious memory or feeling memory, okay, because if you're working with a professional or expert, you don't have to remember consciously that you were abandoned in a certain way, but the feeling itself, and that expert should take you to a place to understand that the feeling is feelings of abandonment. So once you get that, now you don't have to have conscious memory of what happened, but you have the feeling memory. And so if you figured out somehow that your mother left one day to go shopping, and you cried so hard because you felt abandoned, you don't have to be actually abandoned or thrown in a dumpster as a child to feel abandonment. In fact, we all have abandonment issues because of this. Okay, because once the mother leaves you to go cook, in that moment you're suffering an abandonment trauma, not because she's a bad mother and wants to leave you and abandon you, but because that's your body feels that because she left you. It's not deliberate on her part, it's just what happens. It's just a feeling thing that registers as abandonment. And so and so um if you realize that that's what happened to you as a child, what you want to do is you want to do the opposite. So you want to visualize either that same mother or your older self. Or what I want like to do is create a version of the parent that you want to see. This is very complex. I don't know if I should explain it. Now, create a version of the parent that you want to see, and what you could do, what that can look like. It could look like, for example, there are parts of my mother that I didn't care for. I didn't like when I was a child. But there were parts of her that I adored and liked, and so, and loved. So what I did is, in my healing, when I was doing my own healing, I allowed that part of her to start to embody her entire self. So the parts of her that I saw, whether there was a look in her eye, or that look in her eye represented whenever she was angry at me, I I've allowed that to go away, and allow the parts of her that I love, that was represented by a certain smile or whatever, to allow that to become an energy in itself that takes her over. So she's just now an embodiment, full embodiment of that goodness, that part of her that I love. So I would allow that part of my mother to come in and come back to me in my abandonment state, and give me whatever comfort, holding me, telling me that she's sorry for what happened. It wasn't deliberate. It's because she has to cook. She has to go to shopping, and what I'm feeling is something that is normal to feel, and validating the feelings, giving me whatever comfort I need to do to feel a even stronger. Because again, you're going for more and more relief, and with one issue. You could do more than one issue, more than one session with the same trauma, with the same issue. And sometimes it only takes one session. So that's inner child work. That's one kind of inner child work. There's many different layers to even that same kind of inner child work, and many different methods of inner child work. But inner child work is very, very good for people who are depressed because it's deep, intensive stuff. Okay, and after weeks, months, sometimes even years of inner child work, it's time now they could start writing and doing journaling and stuff like that to feel better. You could do journaling meanwhile doing the inner child work and the deeper stuff, but those journaling and like writing out feelings and doing therapy with like a shrink is not enough. Now these shrinks, some of them are good, but it's the system is designed to keep you going back to make them money. This is how evil the system is, because people in depression and having emotional mental issues, it's a painful life. And when you're dealing with somebody who's not trying to get you to find the quickest way to get out of it, you know you're dealing with an evil system. So inner child work, anger work, inner child work, whatever is going to release fear, anger, um, powerlessness, uh, and the resentment that might be there, those kind of things is where you want to be. They'll do the light therapy. And how does that make you feel? Asking that is a good thing because you're going to ask that in any case or in any method that you're doing. But to spend weeks, months, years just talking on somebody's couch, this is why you have so many suicides, so much, especially in America, so much suicide because of these very people. And they give them pills. The pills, they're going to kill you. They're going to make you even crazier. Anyway, he asked me other questions. Apathy. He asked me about apathy. Now, from what I see, apathy is okay. Apathy is. Let me try to remember here. You become numb with apathy. Okay, so a lot of what causes apathy is emotional neglect. Is when and we all been through it to some degree. Is when we go to a where sometimes like for example when you're crying and you want somebody to hold you but you weren't held because you were bad, or when you're complaining and your mother says, oh, you complain too much, you have nothing to worry about, have a seat. Or when you're stressed out, or even if you want to go play and you're told that you're not going to play, you played already, go do your homework. And I'm not saying children shouldn't do their homework. I'm just saying that there's a better way to organize um, life for children so they're not as traumatized. So these things are emotional neglect, and emotional neglect. Let me stick a pin on apathy so I remember I'm writing down apathy. So I remember to go back to apathy when I'm done. Emotional neglect is the enemy of life. It's the trauma that we neglect because energy matches energy. When you're dealing with grief, you get more grief. When you're dealing with death, you get grief and death. When you're dealing with neglect, which is the most damaging trauma, you get the neglect is neglected. The neglect itself is neglected, which causes more neglect and more negative effects of that neglect. And again, neglect is the most dangerous kind of abuse and trauma. Neglect, and especially deep neglect, is what causes, is what creates serial killers in our society. The biggest psychopaths is what emotional neglect creates. And this is why the world is so full of psychopathy and sickness, is because we state where we are just in ignorance and decades and centuries coming up with of just ignorance as far as trauma and emotional issues and emotional abuse. It's just a time a timeline of a long timeline of centuries and hundreds of years of not knowing what thousands of years of what causes healing and what prevents trauma. But go back to apathy. Yeah, so apathy is mostly neglect and emotional neglect. When the child feels as though what they're feeling is not what they're feeling, because it's a gaslight. When a child starts to feel, I want to go play, but I'm being told that I'm not going to be play, you feel like, okay, do I not want to play? Because I want to play. But this parent who is smarter than me is telling me that I shouldn't want to play, but I want to play though. And so it causes this October jungle. If you stick around, I'll answer the question later on, but I have to do it in steps. I'm sorry. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. When you do that to children, they internalize it and it becomes a situation of, oh, this feeling I have, I don't have it. And so if you don't have the feeling, it becomes numb. And then you bring that in your adult life and then you feel as though um, that you can't feel anymore because you've been gaslit. I think I was talking about the gaslighting part of it. You've been gaslit so many times about your feelings that you become numb. You become numb to feeling, and so it's like you've given up on life and don't want to live without knowing that you've given up on life and don't want to live. And this is what apathy does to you. And I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people who come across as like apathetic, like suffering from apathy, they also end up being very lazy and stuff because you're not motivated towards life if you feel numb. So um, to deal with apathy, I mean, there's apathy is a very it goes hand in hand with depression a lot of the time, which may be why you end up asking me about um, apathy and depression together. But to deal with apathy, I mean, you have to start by um, I say that it's good to start the way you start with depression. Start screaming and just get angry and vent, because if you can't feel and you're numb, you want to start feeling. So you want to start there, venting, anger, screaming, recognizing your anger, voicing your opinion about stuff. And I know that takes courage a lot of the time. And if you're suffering with apathy, sometimes you don't really have the courage to do anything. But if you can muster up the courage, and you don't have to muster up in a big way, you just start small. Just give your opinion on the smallest things. What you used to be quiet about, just start talking about it. And you don't even have to start talking about it to a bunch of people, maybe just one person. And you start there. And apathy, you want to move your body, just like depression. Start doing things. Start with things that you like. Start with something that you've probably always wanted to do but didn't feel a motivation. Push yourself to do that. It's gonna be a push because effort sucks. Depression and apathy and that kind of stuff, effort sucks for these people. I mean, it's like the worst thing in the world for them. But this is why you don't put any effort or very little effort in things you don't want to do. Put that, if you can, as much as you possible, put the effort in things you want to do, things that could be exciting. Even if you're not excited about it now, if it's something that you could have been excited about or what you think about sometimes. Like me, when I was in a really bad state, um, years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, and I there's a couple of things I said that I need to go. I need to do workout, and I'm like I don't want to do workouts that I don't want to do. I don't like. So I'm like, what would I like to do? I'm like, pole dancing. It was expensive, but at the time I was doing a driving job, so I could have afforded. It's crazy because after a while I bought the big package and I could go there every day. And it's painful, but it's fun. It's fun, and it works all your muscles. So I'm like, I'm knocking out two birds with one stone. I'm working out and I'm having fun, and I'm getting in touch with my femininity and my sensuality. This is great, and people would judge you with that kind of stuff, but you can't when you're with apathy, especially. This is not the time to be worried about what people think, and that's easier said than done. But again, sometimes you have to push yourself to really and take risks and jump in front of yourself and do things that you never thought you would do because you're afraid of what people think. And I started to do pole dancing. No, I'm still not a pro by any stretch of the idea of pole dancing. But right now, if I'm making money again, I'm gonna go back to do it because I love dancing. Period. And then that's another kind of dancing. I mean, if I'm working out and I like walking or jogging maybe, but truly, those kind of workouts are for men. Um, I love dancing, and whatever I'm doing in life, if I'm not having fun doing it, I don't want to really do it. I'd rather not do it. And so, um, pole dancing was something I checked out, and it really helped me to. I had something to look forward to, and so that apathy that I was dealing with at that time, that started to help it to dwindle down. And what I wanted to also try was rock climbing. I didn't get to that because I couldn't afford both those things. If I could afford it, I would have done all of those things together. So you want to really move your body, taking action on moving your body, doing something you're excited about. So if you're a guy and you're suffering apathy, do you like kickboxing? You working out and you're doing something fun and you're learning to defend yourself. That is great. That is absolutely great for men. You're building your self-esteem. You like jujitsu? You're building your self-esteem by feeling like a comparable, competent person who could defend themselves. You have to be able to defend yourself in this life. Okay, what do you like? You like karate? What is it? I don't personally like karate for men because it give me this cowardice kind of vibe. But what do you like? Jujitsu? What do you like? What fine? Do those things. You're working out, you're defending yourself, and you're building your self worth as a man. I mean, this I always tell people. I digress, but I always tell people. Maybe I didn't do it tell anybody. Me, I just used to say it. One of the main things, if not the main thing, that helps men with self worth and self esteem is self defense. It's not having money, okay? It's not having good looks. It's not having a big dick. It's self defense. Because when you have good, you know how to fight. You could protect yourself, you could protect your woman and your family. Women are way more attracted to a man who could fight than a man with a lot of money. A lot of these men rich out there, they're pussies. They're miserable men. You meet a guy who is versed in some fight thing, even if he's not in any kind of professional fighting, but he just can fight, and watch his energy compared to a men who are rich. Period. Now you have a lot of rich men who know how to fight. Great, good. That's great for him. But when you learn how to fight as a man, it is going to build your self worth. I mean, in a very big way. Your self esteem is going to grow. I mean, like it's going to do wonders for you. This is very important for men. And so you start there. And what go back to apathy. I don't want to go into this whole fighting thing. Yeah, so if you like basketball, go try basketball. I mean, sports help your self-esteem too. And sports could help you with the fighting thing because when you're doing sports, there's a lot of wrestling with stuff, and it helps you to confront. Sports, a lot of times, sports is about confrontation. You know, when you're when you're in sports, you have opponents, you have somebody who's competing against. You have to really be a good confronter to be that person. So that could help you with a good fighter energy too. Maybe you won't be a fighter, big time fighter, but it'll help you emotionally in that sense too. So if you like track and field, soccer, basketball, you do those things when you're dealing with apathy. Just go out in front of yourself and try those things. And somebody who's super apathetic and super, especially if apatheticness is battling, is in conjunction a lot of the time with things like social anxiety, that's a killer. That is going to cripple you. If you're that person, you're gonna have to make baby steps. So if you if you're a big guy and you suffer with both those things or related things like that, two things that are conflicting that way, that is just crippling you. You have to start small. Don't force yourself to go big and go try to play basketball with a bunch of big guys. Go play basketball with children or with teenagers. And you don't have to it doesn't have to seem like you're trying to um it doesn't have to come across as if you're trying to measure up to teenagers where they will bully you. But maybe you maybe coach one person on a team, or be like not even a active coach there, but just like an encourager. That could be a big thing too. That could be hard, but play with them. And then when you feel strong enough, when you have a relief, because relief is key, like I said before, graduate to bigger guys. But you start small. Don't force yourself, because it's kind of a self-hating to force yourself, especially when you're dealing with depression or apathy, or especially and people with extreme anxiety. Big baby steps. But about apathy now, apathy needs you need a lot of feeling of yourself. Feel your emotions. And the reason why I told you to start small with the anger and the trying new things is because that will help you to feel a little bit more. And so you start to choose to feel. Watch your body, watch your head, watch your neck, watch your torso, and see what emotions and feelings are coming up, and watch them. This is boring, it's painful, but you want to do these things. And of course, you could try inner child work too, which is going to be effective for people with apathy. So let's move on to the next question. I use hypnotherapy to help with that anxiety. Dave, are you still there? And is the hypnotherapy effective? Because I was trying to think about hypnotherapy with my social anxiety. I'm still thinking about it with being able to bring that side of myself out. I was thinking about doing, what is that thing again? I was thinking about voice dialogue. I still want to do it. Money and location is my issue right now. But if I could get a chance to do all these things, I would. Because what I need to do to bring out and do live my purpose and receive the highest level of knowledge that I used to receive is gonna be priceless. Um. Anyway, what was I saying before this? I forgot. Oh yeah. Does the hypnotherapy helps with the anxiety, Dave? I did hypnotherapy once or twice before. It did some good, but because of how messed up I was, it's like, and how pessimistic I was, that got in the way of it. I really don't have a question right now. I know I'll drop it to you because I know. I don't have one. I do have to head to. Okay, so he's not there. Um, okay, so October Jungle. I don't know if you're still there. I don't know if you're a girl or boy. I know a girl whose name was October. A while back. October Jungle says, "Do you find parental um mentorship inside of yourself or for yourself?" Oh, I think what you're asking me if I just know those things naturally. It's a combination of my natural intuition of knowing from knowing and understanding people and understanding the mind, and also other people who does same expert work or even in the field of psychology. There's a lot of things that you agree on. But the field of psychology right now, the mainstream psychology, is still a messed up place because, I mean, anything mainstream in the society is about money. So, real effective healing are not even going to be introduced. Some of it will be, but oh, you're a dude. Okay, okay, October. Some of it will be good information, effective information, because they have. It's almost like the Bible. They have to throw in some truth with some lies and some things that are ineffective to get the results they want. The mainstream system out there is a corrupt. Corrupt is not even the word. It's sinister. It's sinister. Um, yeah. So it's a combination of my intuition along with just um, listening to some other experts speak in conjunction with my stuff and just knowing that just this is how parenting and growing children what is really wrong here, how is society going about it wrong, and then I came up with my own methods for healing. But some of these some of like let's say inner child work, a bunch of different people do their own version of it. I wrote one, my own version, a while back. I can't find the folder because I had given up on coaching because I'm like, I'm never gonna get my life together. Um, yeah, so I hope that answers your question, October Jungle. Black One says, as a man, I hate walking. Okay, you hate walking. You're referring to exercise, but it's like the easiest cardio. I hate cardio in general, though. Yeah, I as a girl, I don't hate walking. It can be fun. What I used to do is, and maybe this, I don't know if you've tried this before. If you don't, then try it. Pick a time of day. The key to life, the key to making life better for you, one main key is to incorporate the things you love with the things that suck sometimes. As a man, I believe one of the best workout for men is either sports and or fighting sports for men. Um, and I say sports, I don't mean yeah, sports. I prefer that stuff over the gym. Like go get like round up a bunch of your friends and start playing basketball, soccer, and your whole body's gonna be worked out because you're moving your whole body. And you're a man, so you burn fat and calories faster. Okay, and you sweat harder. It's not like us girls that we have to. So don't walk if you don't want to walk. That's number one. But if you feel as though walking is better for you for whatever reason, what I used to do when I would walk is I would pick a time of the day that I love. So, but there were times when I was walking in the morning because getting up, it gives me a motivation to get up early in the morning and walk when the sun is coming up, where it's not too dark, but it's not hot really much. And and then I would choose if I have a car, I would drive to really nice neighborhoods to walk because the landscape would be so pretty and so nice that would be a motivation for me. And so I would choose those. I would do those kind of things. Um, and I would take a different route almost every day. Maybe I would do the same routes every week, but like this, like one week I'm going to that neighborhood. Not one day I go to that neighborhood. The next day I do that route, and I repeat those same routes, but it's different every day. That way I appreciate the walk, and I don't. It's not like monotonous and tedious and boring and like and repetitive and just lame. And now I'm just focused on how hard it is. Now I just when you're doing it that way, you get to look at the landscape and the trees and the nice houses, and you appreciate that. And it's like I said, it's knocking out um, two birds with one stone. I'm all about that in my life. You know, I'm all about enjoying what you're doing. Okay, whatever thing that suck that you have to do in life, because sometimes there's things that suck that you have to do. Incorporate whatever it is you like, and it will make the experience sometimes not only just a big relief, but just great instead of bad. And when you're walking like that, you're helping with whatever emotional issues you're. It helping you to see nice things and appreciate nature, and that helps with depression. That helps with emotional issues too. So there were questions here. Yeah. Um, Women love fighters. Yeah. How about you get married to the Taliban fighters? I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that they fight women? Are you saying that they're not good fighters? Are you saying they're bad people? Are you saying that things that come with being a Taliban fighter that just make them bad? And I'm not sure what you're saying. You're saying Mujin Yi Mubarak. Yeah. Mubarak. Last name Mubarak. I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying there. I train in CDC, knife and gun utilization, and martial arts. I still have to have low to average self-esteem. Well, like I said, I mean, here's the thing about that. That could be a thing for sure. And a couple things. Even though those things help your self-esteem greatly, if you still have a lot of fear behind it, then it's almost like you're not even doing it. So in that case, I would suggest you get a therapy to work with the fear aspect of it. You do all these things together, okay? And there's no guarantee. I mean, fighting is not gonna heal your self-esteem issues overnight. Neither are they gonna heal it all the way together. Okay, it's just a added thing that when some people do it, maybe most men do it, it helps them a lot. But if you're doing this fighting because you believe you have to do it in that setting to feel like you're tough, it probably won't help you because it really you're not going to become tough because you feel weak. But in that setting, you know that it's not going to be a real fight, but you're still convincing yourself that it's making you tough. But this is still a lot of fear behind it, and a lot of I'm fighting here at at this jujitsu club, and I feel good about myself when I'm fighting because it's not real fighting. But when I leave here, if I get in a fight, I can't actually fight. That's is being backed up by a whole lot of fear. So you got to work with the fear aspect of it, and still continue to do it. That's the kind of person that the fighting alone is not going to help. I mean, the fighting alone wouldn't help pretty much anyone, but they probably need you, October, if since you're the one telling me, um, you probably you need more than just that. Because sometimes people are in a very weak state, and then they make a big leap from being feeling so weak and so terrible about themselves to something like um, a fight club, something like kickboxing. And that's too much of a big leap. They're gonna kick your ass when you go there, and then you're gonna feel terrible comparing yourself to these other big guys that are doing that, and you're constantly comparing yourself, and that weakens you while doing that stuff. So you said peace. Are you gone? I don't know. He asked a couple questions, but now he says peace. I'm not sure if he's still there. There's one person. So what was I saying? You want to. I forgot what I was saying. You want to do some kind of therapy, some kind of coaching, emotional coaching, along with the fighting thing or the sports thing, to help you if you're that person. If it's not making you feel strong, I mean, it's like I said, if you feel terrible about yourself, terrible, and that alone is not going to help you. Even though to some degree it will help you to feel better. October jungle, I'm a dude. Okay. Okay, do relax. Yeah, Black One. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that guy was saying about the Taliban fighters. Do you understand what he was saying since you're still there? I think October is gone. Um, okay, so Black One said, I do like MMA, so I think I will put more effort into practicing it. Yeah. Um, I used I used to do that in my early 20s. I can teach you Crave Maga. What's that? October, what is that? I know you seem like you're gone, but I don't know. Black One says, here's a question. What what do think will come of society with these declining birth rates and and an aging population? Why do you think it's happening? Why do I think it's happening? Number one, there's a couple things happening. Number one, it's a lot of it is deliberate. A lot of it is population control. There's things that people eat and consume over their lifetimes that causes their, like, say, sperm count to dwindle down. Um, Maybe low sex drive. This is stuff you're eating, consuming, and even influences from watching TV, influences from media, those things affecting you emotionally. As far as women, birth control, certain birth controls, certain contraceptives, it messes with your fertility. Next thing is people. A lot of people are becoming more narcissistic, which means they're becoming more selfish. So it's more about them than investing in another life, another a child life. So a lot of women are not interested in having children. A lot of that is subconscious because some of these women think they want children but they don't want it. So whatever is going on in your subconscious is going to be affecting your body. So your body is going to decide to not um, become pregnant because you don't really want children even though you think you do. What else is there? Um, Again, a lot of it is diet. A lot of influences emotionally from social media is messing with people's sexuality, and a lot of people are less heterosexual now, if I could say that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if it's being forced for population control, I have a problem with that. Homosexuality, queerness, that stuff should not be forced through diet, through um, any emotional influence, mental influence, because life should go on. We want life to go on. We don't want to all die and like not reproduce. Um, there's another point coming up here. People are becoming robots. But that's kind of related to them becoming more narcissistic. Um, there was another point I wanted to make. Yeah, a lot of it is sexuality issues. A lot of it is low sex drive. A lot of it is just infertility issues. People not wanting children as much consciously or subconsciously. Um, then there's probably other issues that I could touch on. I can't think of them now. Who seemed weird? Black one. Something in the way you make me feel, make me feel. There's a light that is being bounced off of my brother's car now. I kind of like it. Hello, how you doing? And so it's giving me a glow that I like, even though my face looks fat. It's weird because when I was fatter, my face was skinnier, I thought, and now my face is kind of fat. Anyway, you have any more questions? Because I think I'm about to wrap this up. I think I'm about to wrap it up. Said a lot. I might be doing it every day now until I mean, I'm probably gonna, I'm feeling good and I think I'm gonna start streaming through that really high knowledge and that wisdom, that philosophy stuff. I wish the people that, a couple of people that I see on the internet that are so super intuitive that they could tell me if I really do have to do this, I have to speak like this and even higher in front of my family so I could be integrated. Because as soon as I go around them, I dissociate, and that is going to cause me to be dissociated continuously. I mean, the whole goal is to actually do that. But I don't know if I have to do that. I could just go live somewhere else and not be around them as much and be able to do what I have to do. Would I still be able to? I mean, 'cause, I mean, think about it. There's people who have lost their family members, and then they come out um, and they come out of their shell and get success. There are people who have social anxiety and they just make videos on YouTube and they get success. And I'm sure there's people out there who are like me too, that is hiding a part of themselves from their family, either by dissociation and or will and or not wanting to. And that's me. Both those things are true for me. And 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 they got success. Black one, any more question? Okay, yeah, the Taliban guy. Do you understand his question? Do you understand it? Or whatever he said? When you say you hide yourself from your family, in what aspect? In what respect? In what way? Yeah. A lot of opinion that you keep to yourself. Yeah, that's me. But it's not just opinion, it's philosophies, it's my expertism, it's my understanding, it's my insights, it's my tone. Even this tone that I use, it changes around them because when I'm around them, they all speak patois. And when I'm in Jamaican patois, and when I'm around them, it's like if I speak not patois, they feel like, you're changing on us. And it's an abandonment issue that people have. It's like it's a fear of, you know, ooh, it's a fear of if I if I change, then if I change, then they're losing me, or it's less about losing me. It's more about whatever they are. If I'm if they think I'm rejecting it, then it means that something is wrong with them because they identify with that, and it seems like I don't. It's a kind of a fear of rejection too. Yeah. So let me ask you, Black One, if you're still there, holding your opinions in, have you noticed, either closely or remotely in any way, has it affected your life negatively in any way? Do you feel like it holds you back in any way? You're a fast typer. If I if I lived in your neighborhood, I would have paid you. If I had money, I'd paid you to my to type my book. I edited my book when I needed it typed up. So you said you can see that. I remember when I started reading more and educating myself, I got the you're taking white. Oh, okay. So you're a black guy, and they're telling you you're talking white, and that, you see, that kind of stuff causes you to shut down because you feel like you can't go around these people and be that person that is a part of yourself now. That aspect of you is you now, and they're gonna reject it, so you shut it down. And that's what happened to me in childhood. That caused that trauma, and that's what is still happening to me. And it's not even that, it's also the fear of the insults. It's the fear of them judging you and giving their negative opinions about you, and that makes you feel terrible. Yeah. But to the degree that I was isolated, it caused my life to be in a very bad place for a very long time, of not manifesting the life I need and want. Being isolated is it's not healthy, and it's not good. It's the best thing is to face the fear and become brave and become who we are in front of them. And after doing that for a while, some of them will fall off, and the ones who are really genuine will stay in your life. The ones who not even just genuine, just they're authentic, they're secure with themselves, will stay in your life. But that whole process of being able to find the strength and the bravery of being yourself in front of them is a hurdle. Especially for me, it's a huge hurdle that I am afraid to face it, let alone jump over it.
Me no want money.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. I didn't realize you were writing stuff. Are you still there? Black one. I have a lot of ambitions, and I feel that what keeps me grounded is what keeps me. Okay. Black one. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be because I had learned to accept people's opinions even if I disagree. How are you dealing with your situation? Which one are the situations? Oh well, my state of being right now is feeling number one. I'm feeling like I said. I don't know if you were listening earlier. I felt an apocalyptic thing going on in the universe, on Earth right now, as far as energy. Um, I also I'm dealing with the death of my mother. Um, that is not helping. Those two things feel like the same things because it's like ending. It's like things are ending. You know. As soon as I said the word end, I saw the word end on the screen. I keep attracting that too. I keep attracting things saying that it's ending, stuff is ending, running out of time, being too late, all that stuff. And most of that is like in reference to me taking action towards a career and or taking action to become my real self in front of my people. Um, uh, I'm. This is helping me to deal with it. This is definitely helping me. Last night I went dancing. That helped me to come out of my shell a little bit. I did a crap ton load of inner child work, mind probing, subconscious work, parts work, self work in general on myself because I have the expertise to do so. Thank God I have that. Over the years, and it caused me to be in a great sense of relief, feeling like my vibration is higher. Still, because this is the hardest thing I ever still have to do is to bring out my real self in front of my family. Still haven't done that enough um, yet, I'm assuming. But I can't do something I don't have. Like in the moment, because I dissociate around them, I don't access knowledge. My knowledge is coming from my soul or my higher self, streaming into my body. When you dissociate, you pull yourself away. This is my soul, and I pull a consciousness away from it and become something else that is coping in front of them. But everything that I'm doing, every healing thing, every action, I mean, everything is to start this integration process of becoming um, better where that is concerned. I think I'm gonna be doing one of these every day, Black One. I look forward. I hope you're gonna be there. And if you change your name at any point, let me know. Because is it more shyness on their part or my part? Shyness is a part of it. I mean, shyness is a part of social anxiety. Social anxiety is shyness, and shyness is social anxiety. Shyness is I mean, a less advanced version of social anxiety, and social phobia is a bigger version of those things. Um, did I ask them if they have a problem with me? Absolutely. There've been multiple since I've been here in Jamaica, multiple back and forth with me and them and what I'm going through. But there's a couple things they think I'm delusional, and because I could only bring out some of my knowledge, and it's not as profound as I would like it to be. They get to put me down based on that. So it's like I called myself an expert the other night. They're like, "Oh, you're no expert," and that makes me become numb. It causes a kind of a apathetic thing. I start to feel like, "Hello." I start to feel like is that Reggie? I start to feel like, what am I doing? What am I what am I even doing trying to, prove this to people? I'm not trying to prove it to them. I kind of am, but I recognize that the biggest, the biggest, the biggest thing I need to do is to not prove it to them, but to rather bring it out in front of them, um, in front of them, so I could integrate myself for my own sake, and not so much because I need to prove something. Do I need to prove something? To an extent. Would I like them to accept me as I am? Absolutely. But those things may not happen. They don't have to happen. But still, the biggest part of why I need to do this is to, for my own sake, is to heal, is to face the fear and heal from whatever comes up and integrate and be able to be myself in front of them. It still feels impossible, but it's feeling less and less impossible as time goes by. With more healing work I do, the more I face the fear. But what I observe is that whenever I spend a lot of time around them, not speaking up and not speaking my truth and not speaking with my higher self, I start getting feelings of wasting time, of time is running out, and I start getting messages that time is running out from the universe, which makes me feel worse because it makes me want to give up on my dream. And if I feel like I want to give up on my dream, then it's like I've given up. And like, what's the point? What's the point of me doing this work if I'm just gonna give up? I'm looking at my niece over here. What's the point of me doing this work if I'm just gonna like give up? What's the point of me existing? Because I feel, yeah, I feel like I if I'm not doing this work, I don't feel motivated towards any work, which causes a kind of a suicidal feeling that I get. But I am looking forward to dancing today again. I love dancing. And last night, last night I really got out of my shell as far as the dancing, and I'm looking forward to coming out even more now. Can you imagine me being able to do this work finally, getting a bunch of clients, getting a bunch of supporters, a bunch of followers, going on the world stage, whatever that may look like in a pandemic, helping the world, healing the world from, helping to heal racism and all these things that I talk about. I mean, imagine that. My niece is over there. Yeah, I love dancing. That's my butt off. I do it after it got dark, so the shyness. Tonight I probably took a put on my dark glasses, so I don't have to look in anybody's eyes, seeing them judging me. And that's one of the fear of dancing is like the fear of being judged, of being not a good dancer, or looking silly, or looking immature, or looking too playful when you're not playful, or playing with your playful side. That is not, you're not used to doing, and that makes people uncomfortable. And it makes you uncomfortable that they think it's uncomfortable for them. And I mean, I'm just gonna have to face the fear. But what I was gonna say is, no matter how many times I do something, once I start doing it again, like I danced yesterday, and I in towards the end I started to do good. Starting it today again at the start moment is the shyness comes over me again, and the not dancing good comes over me again. And yeah, it's like almost when people who make public speeches, every time they have to do it, they still get those. If you do plays or you perform in front of people, every single time, no matter how many times you do it, there's still an anxiety that comes up right before, and even when you start and during and towards the end, the bravery starts to come up because practice. They say practice makes perfect. True. Oh, thank you. Thanks for believing in me. It's okay, Jay. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up now, and I'm going to. I know sometime today I'm gonna feel like the right thing to do was to actually in front in front of my family, speak in front of them. I don't know how am I gonna do that, because when I start speaking without in front of them without directly to them, they run away or dissociate. And when speak directly to them, it's a problem because I can't function and I can't find my words. I can't find my insights and the deep stuff in front of them. And then they argue with me that and make it worse, or they run away in those situations. I mean, I don't know, man. I think I'm still thinking and hoping that the key thing to do is to be able to do it whether I feel the fear or not on camera and present it there. And that will be enough to bring me success rather than forcing myself to speak through in front of them when it's hard. Anyway, thanks for watching. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. Jay Z. Thank you. Thank you, Black One. I believe it will come too. It's just, I think what I fear the most by it coming is that it's not coming fast enough and the universe is moving before me, and then somebody else is going to end up doing, or a bunch of people are going to be doing the work, and I'm going to become irrelevant, or apocalypse happen, or I don't know. Bye.